sense.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving this opportunity that we can share our opinion. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So our case is EU and Indonesia palm oil biofuel WTO World Trade Organization dispute number DS 593. We will give analysis of Indonesia's claim against the EU regulations. Next slide, please. Okay, so the background of the case. So the EU has implemented a renewable directive RED and related regulations, which is the restrictions to use of palm oil in biofuel. The EU concluded that palm oil-based biofuel contributes significantly to deforestation and greenhouse gas emissions. So labeling them as a high risk for indirect land use charge (ILUC), indirect land use charge. Phase out of the palm oil in biofuel. So the EU mandates gradual reduction in the use of the high-risk indirect land use biofuels (ILUC) by 2030. Biofuels including palm oil targeting a complete phase out by 2030. And the third one is the clarification in sustainability criteria. So these measures requires biofuels to meet the strict sustainability criteria, which Indonesia claims disproportionately affects the palm oil compared to the other vegetable oil. The other vegetable oil we will discuss about later. That what kind of oil, like especially we can also say like soybean oil, rapeseed oil. So these are the rapeseed oil is basically their domestic products. So it's also the similar criteria like sustainability and indirect land use. Indirect land use change, and also these two oils are similar qualities, but they give more variety to the rapeseed oil and soybean oil, which especially they imported from the US. So it's also the Indonesia claim, what Indonesia claim and how we can say that it's okay, it's right from Indonesia side, which is claim is totally right, and Indonesia need to. Indonesia don't want this restriction. I think it's right. So the detailed analysis from Indonesia side. The next slide. Okay, the detailed analysis from Indonesia's claim. So which in the WTO case against the EU. So the dispute of European Union certain measures concerning palm oil from crop-based biofuel involve Indonesians. Challenging the EU biofuels regulations under the WTO World Trade Organization dispute settlement mechanism. The case concerns around the intersections of the trade policies, environmental measures, and the Indonesian economic interest and the palm oil exports. Below, we will extend that what are the Indonesian key claims. So the number first is the discrimination against the palm oil. So bias of the claim is Indonesia argued that the EU Renewable Energy Directive RED II in its delegate regulations, label palm oil is high risk biofuel due to preserved contributions to deforestation and greenhouse gas emissions. Through indirect land use changes, other biofuels such as those derived from rapeseed, sunflower or soybean oil are characterized as a low risk. I think I discussed it previously. So this is also similar qualities like the sunflower, rapeseed and soybean oil. The number second, here it is there clear discriminations against the palm oil. The second is impact on the palm oil. So the EU regulations limits the market access of palm oil. As they mandate a phase out of 2030 that 2030 for a high risk biofuel. So Indonesia palm oil procedures which domain global exporters are disproportionately affected compared to European procedures of other feedstock. So the core agreements for this is Indonesia claim that this constitutes de facto discrimination because they measure indirectly favor domestically products like rapeseed oil, and which restricting imports of palm oil in violating the WTO World Trade Organization's rules. The number two is the lack of significant justification. So IEA indirect land use methodology. The EU use the indirect land use methodology risk assessment to justify its clarifications of the palm oil is the high risk. Indonesia contend that the methodology is opaque, lack of robust scientific evidence, and fail to account for improvement in the sustainability palm oil practice. It unfairly singles out palm oil while ignoring similar risk association with the other biofuels like rapeseed and soybean and others. The number three is trade barrier. So the trade barrier is Indonesia assessed that the EU's certification schemes for biofuels, which requires compliance with the sustainability criteria, impose unnecessary trade barrier. These measures increase the cost of palm oil exporters and create compliance challenges, limiting their competitiveness. The fourth is economic harm. So the palm oil is the key economic sector for Indonesia, supporting millions of smallholders farmers and contributing significantly to the GDP and exports of Indonesia. The EU restrictions threaten this industry, potentially increase poverty and economic inequalities in Indonesia. The next slide, yes, the gap. So the relevant WTO agreements. So there are specific article which EU is violating. So the general agreements on the trade and tariffs is foundational WTO agreements governing the trade in goods. Indonesia's claim that several provisions of the GATT 1994 are violating by the EU measures. So the number first is the Article 1, paragraph 1, most favored nations treatment. So this provisions require the provisions say required WTO measures to treat all the trading partners equally regarding the duties, regulations, and conditions affecting the imports. But what here the Indonesia claim? So the Indonesia claim here is the EU threatens biofuel, different sources unequally by favoring domestically products or non-palm oil feedstock like rapeseed. This constitutes a breach of the MNF principle, the most favored nations principle, as a demonstration against the palm oil from Indonesia. The second is the Article 3, paragraph 4, which is national treatment. In this provision, they say mandate that imports products receive treatment not less favorable than domestic like products. So the Indonesia claim here is the palm oil of biofuels are like product to other feedstocks, feedstock-based biofuel, as they serve as the same functions and compete in the same market. So the EU regulations favor the EU products biofuels by exempting them from phase out, violating the international treatment obligation. The number C in this GATT is the Article 11, paragraph 1, eliminations of quantitative restriction. So in this provision prohibit measures that restrict imports or exports other than the duties or tax claim. So the Indonesia claim here is the EU phased out the palm oil biofuel act as a de facto quantitative restriction on the import, converting violating the Article 11. The number 4 is Article 20, general exemption. So this provisions say allow measures that protect health, conserve resources, or addresses environmental concerns provided there. So as are necessary, are not applied in the discriminatory manner, are not distinguish restrictions on trade. So what Indonesia claim here is the Indonesia argues that the EU restrictions are not necessary, are less discriminatory alternative, promoting sustainability palm oil certification are available. So the measures are applied in the protectionist manner, disproportionately benefiting EU products. The TBT agreement. So the TBT agreement, they are also violating certain articles here. Also the agreements on the technical barrier of trade, regulating the technical regulations, standard and conformity assessments to ensure that they do not create unnecessary trade barrier. Indonesia argue here that the EU violates the following article. So the following article is Article 2.1, non-discrimination. In this provision require technical regulation to treat imported product not less favorable than like domestic product or other imported product. So here the Indonesia claim is that the EU sustainability criteria is unfairly targeting palm oil while exempting or giving professional preparational treatments to other biofuels like seed oil, soybean oil, which they import from US. This is the same quality as like the palm oil, and rapeseed oil. They are also the same as the palm oil, but they are exempting this for this certification, and they are putting this palm oil in this. The number B is Article 2.2, legitimate objective. So this provision say technical regulation must serve legitimate objective, environmental protection, and no more trade restrictive than necessary. So the Indonesia claim here is the EU phase out is overly restrictive and unnecessary for achieving the environmental objective. Sustainability Palm Oil Initiative, such as those certified under the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil. So Indonesia Palm Oil also have this certificate, but from the EU side, the restriction is too much. So it's upper less restrictive alternative. The number C is the Article 2.4. So international standard. So in this provision, the member must base their technical regulation on the relevant international standard. So the Indonesia claim here is the EU sustainability requirements diverge from recognized international standard for palm oil certification, such as those established by the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil. The next Yusuf will present. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so should I introduce myself? Or I continue? Just
continue.
Okay.
You are in the same
Okay, now we're focusing on Indonesia's legal and strategic focus. We mean Indonesia's agreement about this thing. So the first point is like the light products, because as he was explaining, both rapeseed, sunflower, soybean, and the palm oil, they have physical characteristics. We mean the EU's agreement about palm oil for consumption or like indirectly affecting the land is the same as the soybean and others. So, like if you look at their characteristics, all of them have similar characteristics. And also another thing is also they compete directly in EU biofuel market. So I think based on this agreement or based on our argument about why Indonesia should lead this case or why we are supporting Indonesia is one. These are one of the reasons. There is competition, also there is bias in treating the Indonesia's product. So like we say, like if successful, EU must provide equal treatment on palm oil to palm oil based on Article 2 and 3 of GATT, based on Article 2 and 3 of GATT, which fails by proportionality test. Proportionality says Indonesia, as Indonesia agree, EU measures are appropriate, disproportionate, and to state that environmental objective, the restrictions are overly broad, and they also penalize sustainable palm oil production. So the restriction there is not proportionate. It doesn't match with Indonesia's palm oil assumption what they assume on Indonesian palm oil. So the treatment there is not matching with the requirement. And also they failed to account for alternative like less restrictive measures such as synthesizing certified sustainable palm oil. And also if we move on to scientific base, like Adnan explained, if you look on the scientific base, like the scientific credential is very unclear. It's very unclear. Based on EU's scientific credential is not clear. So the high risk and all the things they were speaking about, they are not as transparent as it's supposed to be. Okay. So that's one of the things. So first is proportionality test, and the second one is scientific basis. Okay. So now I think we move on to the implication and the implication of the dispute. So first one, we talk about impact on the trade and environmental governance, balancing trade and environmental goals. So first, when we talk about the impact on the trade and environmental governance, so like the case underscore the tension between the liberalization and environmental protection. If you look at the case it underscores the tension. It increases the tension between these two. Like Indonesia need liberation, they need to have a liberty when they are trading. Also, they need to be treated the same as other people, other nations. So there's no active discrimination. So that's one thing. And then the EU ruling in favor of we rule in favor of Indonesia could constrain the members from the use of environmental measures. This guy's restriction that doesn't come with proportionality that are unclear. Also, is one of the reasons. Also, when we talk about this, we talk about developing countries' economic interests. So it need to be put in the account. The outcome will affect the palm oil exporting countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, and all other countries that are into this trade. And then when you come to the third one, we talk about the biofuel policy worldwide. The president will be also say it will say how countries regulate the biofuel and balance environmental goals with the obligation. So also this is one of the things that's very important. And now I think we move on to the conclusion of our presentation. in which we talk about the WTO dispute between Indonesia and European Union regarding the palm oil regulation. Highlight the complex interplay between the trade rules and also environmental policy and economic interests. So Indonesia contends that the EU measures which classify palm oil biofuels as high risk and mandate the phase out by 2030. So it violates WTO agreement by discriminating against palm oil, creating a trade barrier, and also lacking scientific justification. And then it's also like the case also underscored the critical issue of equality or equitable treatment in this trade, the role of scientific policy making, and also the balance between sustainable development and market access, and also the outcomes is a significant impact on global biofuel policies, and also developing countries' economic resources are affected. Border disposal on the environmental treatment, all of these things are being affected according to our presentation of our research based on this case.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for the nice presentation. It's very comprehensive actually, from the background up to the conclusions. So I think you makes the backgrounds more clearly with some problems, and then of course analyze the Indonesian claims and let me answer. Let me start from my question by asking you. Maybe you have some lessons from this case, especially because Indonesia is still in developing countries and still have many lands with palm oil products. That's Indonesia thinks that European Union should in the trade organization is harms for his economy.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, like Indonesia is one of the key importer of the palm oil. So, and there is also a million of small stockholder, small farmers. So they are engaged with this field. EU ban this. So I think like it will also affect the GDP of the Indonesia. It will bring inequality. It will also bring poverty. And like they, those who are engaged with this business, this palm oil businesses, so they will also grow. They will also become poor. So it will directly affect the economy of Indonesia. Because like this is one of the main, like I think in the whole world, Indonesia is on the top who import palm oil. Yeah. So it like the EU for the European Union pose this kind of imposition, like this kind of violating the WTO agreement. So it will directly affect the Indonesian economy.
And also, I think not only Indonesia, like it's going to be precedent, like it's going to be rule that will be used not only by EU, but also other major importers can use this when they want to politically restrict some developing countries who are into this palm oil business, like not only
like
Indonesia.
Malaysia.
Yeah,
Malaysia too.
Yeah.
So it's going to be precedent, and it's like a precedent that will be restricting the developing countries or palm oil countries. That's good as well.
So the Indonesia resigns from as a member from trade organizations. So maybe they want to make strong decisions about the case.
Yeah, they need to take a strong action
You
against.
will consider the options.
Yeah, but like they need to take the strong action against this case, because like this will not only affect Indonesia, it will also affect the other country. So the Indonesian also need to make a strong stance against this case, and the WTO World Trade Organization also need to clarify this case, like in the favor of Indonesia, like this clearly violating the TBT agreement, the GATT agreement. So they are violating, the EU is violating like many articles, like if we can see, it's not only limited to these articles, but like these are clearly violating these articles, like in the GATT article 1, 3, 11 and also 20, like not only violating one article, if they violate one article, so it's makes sense, but like in they also violating the article in the gate and also in the TBT agreement. So there are also like 3 articles. Like it's clearly article they are violating these 7 articles, and also there is like just a clear one, but that's not only limited to these articles that they are violating. So the WTO also need to make a strong to get a strong stance against this case.
I think the next thing also is because when we read the cases, all the EU's agreement were focuses on EU conventions, and in which it may affect Indonesia as their trade partners, but like also I think it needed address when there's some regional conventions and also some international convention that's binding on all the countries. There should be also some distinctions which one should come into play so that there will be no conflict of regulation or conflict of choice, something like that. So I think also because EU focuses only on EU convention, all the cases, all the decided on legal basis, majority of them are from EU side, all their convention. Rather, Indonesia's one is based on the international one, which is universal one, I believe. So I think there must be distinction also which regulations should take place, which regulations should be set aside.
So the panels, the trade organizations panels should consider all relevant documents, not only based on the EU claims.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, very good. I think maybe I have some suggestions to you. Maybe one of you can choose this case as your final. This is maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, this is also one of the good cases, but like we wanna go to the war side, like especially Israel-Palestine relation. Like I'm working on my final thesis, so I select the Yemen war and humanitarian crisis there. I'm still
Yemen's war.
Yes, Yemen.
Oh.
Yeah.
So which one?
It's the Yemen. They are inside the war.
Which year?
So they are still now. I think from 2009 till now they have war. They have that's a civil war inside the country. So, but like the other countries also involved in this. Like especially we can see Saudi Arabia, UAE, also the US is also involved in that.
Yeah.
So it's a wide range case.
Yeah, I think we have a good news. European Unions, especially the countries, have concluded about the Netanyahu, the Prime Minister from Israel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the US is the one who is backing Israel.
Yeah, especially with the Trumps.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah, I think if developed and developing country, especially in European and Asian country, have a unit to make Palestine as a state. I mean, it will be potential to make peace between two area. So you know, the both Palestinians and Israelis, I think have the same connected with their religions. So Israel's with Jerusalem too, and Palestinians with Jerusalem too. Yes, both of them needs to occupy the holy city. But I think based on the United Nations resolutions numbers 161, 1940, 42 or 45, something like that. So the area is divided 3 areas. So the biggest ones from Palestinians and for Israel, and Jerusalem as an international city. But in fact, Israel needs Jerusalem as a capital city. Yeah, and also all of them need to claim the holy city as a part of the territory.
Yeah.
If they don't want to sell the city, so the place is maybe still far in the thing, because Palestinian and Israel have their own historical based on their religions. That's why I study with my supervisors. About the, you know, Abraham.
Lincoln Abraham.
Lincoln Abraham. No. Abraham. Abraham is kind of the, what we call it, the prophets.
Oh, the prophet Ibrahim.
Abraham. So Abraham actually had two sons with two wives. The first wife is Siti Hajar, and his son is Ishaq.
Ishaq and Ismail.
Ismail is coming from Siti Hajar. So the Palestinians is coming from Ismail, and the Bani Israel is coming from Ishaq. So actually, based on the historical Bani Israel and Palestinian is brothers. It's the same species, because in Bible and in Holy Quran, Allah promised to Abraham to go to the Holy Lands between Tigris and rivers. That's why we call it as a Palestine, as a promised land. But in fact, so you know, the Bani Israel as a nation go to every country, and then in every corner in the country, some accidents, because the local citizen didn't like the Jews or the Israelis.
So they're like a nomad.
Yeah, they make homelands. So they coming to the Palestinians as the homelands, because Allah promised to the Prophet Abraham as the homelands. But actually, it's not for Bani Israel only, but also to Palestinians.
Yeah, but this was like especially in the Palestine land, but UK is the one who is involved in this, because they give
Western people, that's why.
But in the early of the first World War, so Baron Rothschild, as the Prime Minister from United Kingdom, as the Council of Trustee in United Nations, as an institution to prepare Palestine as a state, and he invites the Jews from the world to come in, or to return to the Palestinians to develop homelands too. That's why we can say it's United Kingdom fails to prepare Palestinians develops as a country or a state until now. Because United Nations give the United Kingdoms to prepare to make Palestine as a state, but in the same time, the Prime Minister Baron Rothschild invites the Jew to return to the lands too. Why the first Arab wars happens, and then the United Nations published the first resolution about it, what we call as this is for Palestinians, this is for one Israel or Israel, this is for international. The resolutions, 181. You can check. Maybe I think to 1942. And the most very important resolution, the Security Council resolutions, is number 242. So all of the army from Israel should be withdrawn from Israel. But until now, it doesn't happen. It's because United States intervenes. So actually, the lands have many historical and have many religions connected between the people and the territory. Because I have some research and in 1991 and go to the Palestinian embassy to capital city in Jakarta, and the secretary gave me the books about the Palestinians. The red book is very it's very informative about the history in Jakarta when I still a student in lecture. I go to the embassy.
So in your lecture you write your thesis on Palestine issue?
Yeah, because my thesis is self-determination of Palestine.
Also,
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting because until now it's still unfinished story. Because they don't want to divide the lands. So every people, every Palestinian, everybody Israel have a right, but they don't want to sell. They don't need. They just need to occupy all. But for people, it's maybe hard to execute. Yeah. So if you wanna see the peaceful in the Palestinian lands, so maybe both of them should be respected. But we know that United Nations has strong interest to manage Israel, especially in
Especially US.
yeah, yes, United States. Yeah. You know, maybe most people in United States is Jew. They have a strong connected to protect Israel. That's why makes United States government implements a double standard. It's not fair. And including in trade organizations, developed country and developing country. You should know that there is many articles or there is many regulations to cover or to protect all countries or all members.
Yeah, but like there is also some discrimination
Yeah.
in these. And they also see like which is developed, like if we can see to this case, so the EU have a good relation with the US, so they don't impose any sanction on the soybean oil, but like they can see this kind of discrimination against the palm oil. So like there's also European countries that they have developed countries, so they have more interest, so they give more priority to them.
I agree. Okay.
No.
Yeah, okay.
So this will be our final.
Yeah, this is your final results.
Okay.
So maybe if you're interested in to make the case as your final thesis, it's good to.
Yeah, maybe we will study. So
Yeah.
we will study both. After this, we will select because we need to prepare like 3 to 4 topics for our thesis. So maybe we will also study this also our human one. But we are more interested in that because like we are interested, we show interest in war issues, especially in conflicts.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Adnan. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Can we make some, to